Greetings, fellow readers, Rambling Collector here, and happy Memorial Day. So, for the significance of this holiday, I thought for today's book review it would be a very special one. And if you'll allow me to be a bit cheesy here, we are going to be talking about a very well-known classic work. The novelization of 007's GoldenEye, done by John Gardner, and published by Berkley Books. So, first of all, I've got to thank my friend and fellow YouTuber, Brevins Flexing Games, for he was the one who actually sent me this novelization of GoldenEye, as well as the very first Bond book, Casino Royale. Without him, I never would have been able to dive into the world of James Bond as I have now, with both of these books. And quite frankly, I will say, out of the bunch, this one was definitely the best. But don't take my word for it, or also take it up with him. He has actually done a review of the GoldenEye movie, while I am covering the GoldenEye book. And if you want to hear his thoughts on the movie, I'll leave a link with a little card that's going to pop up over my head if you want to check that out, as well as give him some love as well. He's done some fantastic work, and he deserves just as much respect. And I will say this, the novelization of GoldenEye really goes hard. While Casino Royale was definitely a lot slower in terms of pacing, it did have some very tense moments, acting more of like a spy novel. This one is like a mix of a spy novel / action film, which definitely really fits, considering from what I've heard of GoldenEye, it's definitely a more action-packed James Bond film than normal. Now with GoldenEye though, I thought it was very interesting, especially with the time period that it takes place in. See, a lot of the James Bond films take place either during or after the Cold War, hence the collapsing of the Soviet Union and going on at the time. But, as well as that, James was just a very fascinating character, especially with the change here compared to the old one, because as I've pointed out with Casino Royale, the head of the organization, M, as far as I've always been aware, was always female. But Casino Royale proved me wrong when they had the titular M being portrayed as an old retired Navy man rather than in a strict no-nonsense woman. But we see that actually pop up here in GoldenEye when the old M finally retires and the new M takes his place. And she is a very no-nonsense type of gal who James doesn't really get along with, but he definitely still respects, as you can tell through their interactions throughout the book, when she assigns him the new mission. But I also like how this has a theme of the past coming back to haunt James in a way, because in the first act of this, we see him on a mission with his fellow secret agent, Alec Trevelyan, who is shown to have possibly died in the beginning of the book. Okay, but that all comes back to bite James later on. Because how this all starts is that he's pursuing an old KGB agent known as Xenia Onatop. And let me just say this right now. Xenia is absolutely terrifying. Okay, just to give a bit of context here. In one chapter of this book, it shows her in the middle of a loving embrace with a man. And they're both making love. And then what does she do? She clamps around his chest with her bare legs, and she crushes his ribs with just the power of her leg muscles. And it gives her satisfaction to do so. That alone made her very terrifying, especially as I was reading the book. I'm like, did she just crush that man with her thighs? Like, I was genuinely shocked, especially with the fact that he essentially died in a painful ecstasy, but for her, it was pure bliss to do so. So Xenia is obviously not someone to trifle with, but even more so when you see who she's working for. See, in the first act of this book, it shows James and Alec dealing with General Odomov, working for the Russian military, developing nuclear weapons that could possibly be used against not only Queen and country, but also the rest of the world. Odomov does manage to escape, though, which leads into the future plot point of Alec Trevelyan being revealed as the mysterious new Janus figure, whom Xenia is working for. And honestly, I love that little nod to Greek mythology there, with Janus being the two-faced god, and Alec Trevelyan taking the name due to the fact that half of his face is now completely burned from the explosions that were caused by James. So in a way, this is James's past coming back to haunt him, the consequences of his actions, as well as for abandoning his partner. But Alec was already planning to betray Queen and Country due to the fact that he distinctly remembers his parents being gunned down by mobs, and then being taken in by the British government and brought into SIS. But I will say this much, though. I absolutely loved this book. I loved the more action-y sequences, such as, for instance, James driving a freaking tank. I'm not kidding when I say that either. He was chasing after General Odomov with a tank, of all things. After James's new lady love was kidnapped by General Odomov, James proceeds to chase after them. As they're driving away in a military jeep, he chases after them with a freaking tank that he learns to drive on the spot. That alone makes for a great scene, and I honestly want to check out the movie version of that scene just to see the big difference and really picture it in my eyes. Because I could see this in my mind's eye, but I want to see it on the big screen. And like I said before, this one's both an action movie as well as a spy film all in one. We do see the spy motives, such as when he's playing around in the casino, betting hands, using secret gadgets and all that stuff, but there's definitely more of a blood rush and adrenaline feel to this one as well. Like, first of all, you have James plummeting using a rappelling unit and it attached to him and a bungee cord jumping off the top of a dam just to break into a Russian secret missile silo. And then, after that, you have him pulling off something on a high-rise where he's battling Alec, his old friend, and as they're trying to stop the world from both being destroyed in a massive EMP burst that would leave all major cities powerless, as well as robbed, for Alec's revenge. But I will say, this alone was captivating to me. I loved seeing how James was just, going on a vacation, enjoying himself, finds an ex-KGB agent, chases after them, discovers a bigger plot, is deployed by M to find out what the heck is going on. But also the mystery of GoldenEye itself, being like this mysterious program that is not only able to covertly hack into banks and drain them of their cash, but also to cause massive EMP bursts, which render everything inoperable when it is fired. Now, that makes GoldenEye a very terrifying weapon in my opinion, especially with the fact that it could be hidden as a kind of space junk satellite in a way. That was very clever, and I loved that little bit there. Odomov is definitely an interesting character himself, but more so because he has the, of course, grudge against James for ruining his original plans and wanting to get vengeance, yada yada yada, the usual stuff. But Alec Trevelyan was definitely an interesting character. I like the fact that he knew how James operated. He knew how his old partner would fight him. He knew that he would never give up. And that makes for a very interesting thing, having someone who knows James's moves, an old comrade, someone he knew personally as one of his best friends. That really sucks, especially for James, reading his reaction as he's just like, please tell me this is a dream, or is this a nightmare? This isn't real, is it? Here, reading his thoughts, I can almost picture him like slowly lowering the pistol thinking, oh my god, my old friend's alive. He's here. He's somehow survived. But now he's the enemy. And all in all, though, I loved how this one shows like the current climate that it's in. With the Soviet Union now over the KGB dissolved, all of that stuff. Yet there's still marks from it throughout the novel as I'm reading it. For instance, there is an actual garden of statues when James is being shown around Russia. He sees an entire park that is filled with statues of old dictators. Even Stalin is involved in there. And that was actually a very good historical reference to the time period, and I loved that. Not to mention, again, and this one here is a pretty short novel at only about, let's see here, about 282 pages, which isn't bad. But I feel like this one is a lot more gripping than Casino Royale was. Like, it grabs you with its immense action sequences and does not let go. Casino Royale is definitely good if you want more of an actual spy scene, but if you want more action involved in your spy stories, this is the good one to go with. GoldenEye is a great one. And it's not bad for what it is. John Gardner, fantastic writer. I will say that right now. He has a way of grabbing you and helping you to kind of get involved more. Like, you can almost picture it in your head of Bond struggling to maintain the controls of a tank, trying to keep his lady love alive, feeling close to her. And I will say, I loved every second of it. And once again, Brevin, if you're watching this, I just want to say this much. Thank you. Thank you for introducing me to the world of James Bond as a whole. It has been an absolute wild ride with both Casino Royale, doing a book versus movie video for that, as well as now finally reading and reviewing the novelization of GoldenEye. And if you guys who are watching this video would like me to do a book versus movie video like I did with Casino Royale, but instead for GoldenEye, please feel free to let me know. I'd be more than happy to do so if that is the case. And who knows, I might put that up in a community poll in the future, so stay tuned on that. But more than anything though, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope you all are enjoying a good Memorial Day. Okay. Quite frankly, if you like this video, feel free to leave a like, comment me your thoughts down below, or subscribe if you're interested for future content, or if you have any other James Bond recommendations for me, please let me know those as well in the comments. I'd love to try and check out more of these books if I can. And because after reading Casino Royale and now GoldenEye, I'm genuinely curious to read more stories like this of spies and action and cool stuff like that, but especially James Bond. You could just say, well, just check out the movies. I might if I can make time. If not, though, I'll just stick with the books. It might give me the best picture overall, but we'll see. You never know what's going to happen. But if you'd like to check out some of the other books I've reviewed as well, I'll leave a link to that playlist right above my head. And if you want to check out my Casino Royale video, I'll leave a link to that video as well right over here. Or if you just want to hit the subscribe button for future videos, feel free to hit the button right over here. And once again, you guys, thank you so much for listening. It really means a lot to me that you've stuck around as long as you have. This channel would not have been possible without all of you, and your great recommendations, your comments, and heartfelt support. It really means a lot to me that you've stuck around and with me for all the years that I've been doing this. And I, again, cannot thank you enough. Give some honor to our veterans and soldiers out there today. But most of all, keep being amazing readers out there, guys. And if you have any suggestions, please feel free to let me know. I'm always in the mood to support any indie authors or anyone else who just wants to have a good story be told. Once again, you guys, thank you so much for listening. This is Rambling Collector, signing off for now. Have a great day, fellow readers.